Johnny Chaos, he brought up a new way of thinking. He said that it's possible that the Pulsex sacrifice address might use hex to get bridge hex to Pulsechain and make a pair one to one between e hex and hex on Pulsechain. That's very interesting. But the only thing we know is that pre-bridge, there's only fixed dollar value within the entire chain. There's only so much value within the entire chain, and so all these assets will not go up simultaneously, the same way they will not go down simultaneously. So we can kind of play within that, and that's so far the only thing I know for certain that will not happen.
Yeah, your best option is going to be to buy when it's live on the market, so you can actually, yeah, and buy the dip.
But I will say, like, if I was going to be bullish about anything, I'm very excited about Pulse. Very, very, very excited about Pulse. And I think Pulse X is going to take the world by storm. But when I look at how many sacrifice addresses went for Pulse compared to Pulse X, I think Pulse is the one.
I get it, and that's why me and so many others kind of feel it when you think that we missed the sacrifice. I mean, it's just sad.
No, it's not sad. You're in this chat. You totally know and aware and asking amazing questions and like have a plan. Like think about it.
And we're not giving you bullshit, so you know.
Yeah, you don't have to all go in on day one either, guys. We can DCA right in case there's a dip.
Something I won't forget. He said that making passive money is actually a lot of work. It takes a lot of working. And the funny thing is, I think I saw that video while the sacrifice phase was going on for Pulsex with Richard Hart and stuff. And I started getting wise and just stopped all that bullshit, took all the money from all those shit coins, and I just stopped trading and throwing money at ICOs and stuff. I stopped all of that. And it took me months of reading and learning before I actually bought Hex for the first time. But I mean, like 10 months. I only like 2 months ago or something. That was the first time I bought Hex. And I didn't move any money since that moment. And so for people like me, it's really I don't care about diversifying, by the way. I think it's much more important to learn about something that you're investing in than to diversify and being lazy because you don't know enough about the stuff that you're buying. I'd much rather know everything there is to know in one asset than not knowing anything and having like 20 because I want to diversify. And that's my game plan. So for people like me, pre-bridge is going to be a massive event. And I'm honestly thinking of someone was saying, take notes for the day that launches. Yeah, that's absolutely what I'm doing. I'm taking notes. I have some paper here next to the computer. I always carry it. I always carry my computer. I always carry this paper with me, and it says exactly what I am going to do. And I don't care about if in the future I can get better price, I can get a better deal or something. If I spend months drafting a strategy, that cannot be changed because of one single event that happens the moment I'm looking at a chart. It's not wise to improvise, especially when you have no idea what. Yeah, I think many of us that didn't sacrifice, at least for one of the assets, like Pulse, having a strategy is really important.
The concept of like having a game plan in place, like, you know, I mean, I have tons of PLSX. I've got a ton of PLS, but not as much as I do PLSX. So, you know, is an opportunity to build out of the bear, you know, and, you know, develop a strategy. I mean, this stuff is not going to like, you know, kind of turn into gold overnight. It's going to take time. So, you know, I developed a good 2-year strategy towards doing that stuff, and I'll be even stronger for it.
What I hear from like buddies of mine in Hex and like people that have like, you know, sacrificed big, like, you know, a year and a half ago or so, is that, you know, about, you know, 25% of them are like I put into way too much into Pulse. As soon as it comes out, I'm gonna cash out, right? And I'm like, okay, yeah, fair enough. You know, it's been a long time. You put in a lot of money, so the price is going to dip because of you. But then the other 75% of people that I listen to in spaces are like, you know what? When Pulse comes out, I missed the boat. I've got Pulsex. I got into Pulsex because I want to get into Pulse. And to me, that, you know, it's like it's going to rip. Pulse is going to rip. It's going to go down. Like it's going to do the whole like Richard Hart, like 95%, or maybe not even that. But it's going to go down and then it's going to rip.
I'm looking for a solid 45% to 50% kind of dip at some point after it launches, and then and then a launch pad takeoff. But I'm okay with that. I'm like, that's good for me. Like,
I'm literally stacking dry powder for that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I have dry powder set up on the east side. If we go and retest some things, but I'm very happy during this bear market of where I've gotten in with economic energy. I mean, I didn't get the 0.017 aspect, but I got 0.0185. Picked up a very nice bag for that, and tucked it away for a project I'm working on. And so I mean, if it doesn't carry through, this is where I'm not going to be a sad lad. Is because
you guys still don't understand that they're going to be able to pair PRC20s to stable coins, the real stable coins on Ethereum. So we're going to be able to buy, just continue stacking. That's it. It's different than the other time. Most people don't understand the actual game theory. The guy's going to bring everyone's going to bring everything to ETH, and you'll be able to buy them. And then you're going to have to pay for the bridging. But as long as you have them, you have them. So just remember that. People are going to bring them to ETH. There's the opportunity of that. Why bring your fucking ERC20s to the PRC? Makes no sense. It's so much better to bring the PRCs to the ERCs. It's going to happen. No one's talking about it because that's the play. And you're going to be able to acquire everything just the same way you think that it's going to be more liquid. It won't. Everyone's going to take it over anything. And you're going to be able to get whatever Pulse, however you want, as much as you want. Don't think like it's done. There's going to be all kinds of Pulse, man. It's not the way it works. You can't just create a fork and take all the coins. You're going to have to give it to the people. It's going to be beautiful, guys. Just get ready. You're going to be able to buy with USDC, real USDC. You don't have to worry about the PUSD. You don't have to worry, man. But the sad part is that you're giving up the opportunity of getting an actual good coffee like Hedron, like Hex. So usually what I would say is that I see happening is that people on ETH are going to buy bags and then they're going to sell those assets to get into the other assets. So that's going to drive price down on each side for sure. And the PRCs are going to be literally, they're going to be paired, not pairing. They're going to be paired as in pool A and pool B, and they're together, and that makes it liquidity and a liquidity providing. And that's what's going to happen, and I 100% believe that. Forget about this taking your ERC20s to ETH. You don't want that. You really don't want that. You want the other way around. People never mention the fact that I'm basically the first one to ever say this, to say that you could take your PRC20s and bring it to the ETH side. Everyone's telling you, yeah, we're going to take the ETH, the EHEX, and you bring it to the Pulse chain. That's fucking useless, man. That asset is a wrapped asset with no utility, no nothing, and you're going to go ahead and pair it to create value on your chain when you could take the token that's completely worthless and bring it to the side where it has the most value, and you're able to pair it to create a ratio which thus gives you fucking value. So the move that anyone could do is they have 50% of it already. Take the Shiba, bring it over to ETH, pair it. So it's easy to get into the Pulse chain ecosystem. All you need to do is go buy back the bridge. So listen to how people are very intelligent on onboarding, which I know they have no experience. They're telling people to do one of the most complicated transactions, which is bridging an asset and creating it on a different chain. So you're saying to do that first. So you say, hey, you have a token here that's worth some. Now I'm telling you to sacrifice it and go ahead and create a wrap token, which is useless, that doesn't have value. It's only backed by yours that's being held by a third-party bridge that you don't have the keys to, that you don't hold. But you know what? Go ahead and get that shitty-ass fucking wrapped asset that doesn't interact with the contract, that doesn't have a liquidity yet, and go ahead and pair it to these coins that are worth $0 that you don't trust the ecosystem, and we're trying to get you in for massive onboarding so people could dump on your head and get their money. That's what we're telling them, instead of saying, you know what? There's this new asset, a new chain that has the availability in order to do easier than atomic swaps or bridge swapping. You actually have a wrapped asset of it on Ethereum in Uniswap with a high liquidity, and you have high routing because it's paired to a lot of coins. You got PLS, PLSX, you got EHEX, you got PSHIB, you got PSAN, you got all these utilized functions of these wrapped assets. When you bring this asset that's wrapped back to the ecosystem, you have the native token that is contract utilization possible. And you own it because it's in your keys and you own that token. How much better does that sound? Security-wise, adopting-wise, innovation-wise. And no one talks about it. Because they're inexperienced and people keep blabbering and listening to these people, which I bet you don't have no skin in the game. It really upsets me because it's not the experience of what we know, man. So much smarter to bring your PRC20s to the east side and give it value with one of the most stable Oracle fucking blockchains. That's where all the prices are at. That's where all the ratios are at. And you want to bring that to a Pulse chain and create that extra vector of bridging, where the bridging has been the fucking last, I don't know how many fucking stress tests for the system, how many last double-digit millions of hacks have been done because of what? Bridges? Oh yeah, and we want to do that. And don't listen to people that have no skin in the game, that don't understand shit about crypto, that haven't been in the crypto ecosystem and only got a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Don't listen to them, because I've been in everything, and I'm telling you 100% what's going to happen with the big boys, because that is more profitable, there's more volume, it's more stable liquidity on ETH than it will be on Pulse chain. And then we could trickle down the whole value from ETH and bring it into our ecosystem. And we could make it so like that it becomes rarer and rarer to get the PRC20s. And then the PRC20s have a ratio that's better than ETH. And then you're just going to see people just coming back in and they get the real asset every time. The reason why he wants to make a bridge, it's not just to give you guys the opportunity to bring your stable coins over. Come on, man.
Interoperability between one chain and the other. We didn't have that on the last testnet. I remember I was more intrigued on saying, well, can I bridge out stuff into like the ETH testnet and then bring it back? But I wasn't able to. So for me, it's like, well, if I could bring the PRC20s to ETH, well, I understood lately, I've been realizing what Binance did. Binance sucked in everything from all the BNB from ETH and owns it at a 99%. But there's no liquidity. What do they have as liquidity? They have their BUSD. And their BUSD currently right now is growing stronger and stronger as an ERC20 in liquidity also. But it still has it. It's still there. It still has value. And it doesn't affect their chain because most of their chain assets are just VAP20s. And that's why we didn't see a dent in their bridge hack. I've seen the mistakes. I've understood them. I've been part of them. And right now when I look at it, there's a beautiful opportunity to take a different step that could maybe create different consequences that could be beneficial for everyone. And it could cause things to speed up very much faster than we think it would be. Because now we're talking about being able to buy PRC20s with stable coins, and that has never been talked about, because people are like, no, you won't be able to because they're gonna have blah 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 blah. But now imagine people create pairs with DAI. Imagine people create pairs with USDC or USDT with Pulse. Let's forget about the other ERC20s, right? Forget about Hex, forget about Hedron, forget about that. What happens if Pulsex and Pulsechain just have a pairing to ETH and the USD table? Like, that is going to be gigantic. No one has ever done that. There's never been that option to buy into an ecosystem from there and then wrap it in through the bridge, and then on the other side you have the actual native token. It's very intriguing to myself also as an experienced person in this. It's like it's never been done before, so I'm intrigued on the possibilities, and it intrigues me more on the safe side than it does as a risk, where it's like, oh, they could be very profitable. Yes, it could be very profitable, but it's also very safe and very, very appeasing. And when you're trying to sell it to someone, it's like, hey, man, you get it for free. Bring it here where it's already valuable, where you're already comfortable, and now you can do whatever you want with it. Oh, you could trade it, get more value, and then go into something else you want. Or, hey, you don't have to do anything. Just continue buying and go back and get low transaction fees. There's also your options on the other side too. So that's how I see it. I don't see it as like, oh, we need to do this. No, I'm saying we can. Let's talk about it. Let's bring it to the big minds. Let's bring it to the people so they can understand this. There might be some big players that are like, never saw it like that. And now they look at it and say, so you're telling me, like think about it, Moon King. Like, Like taking the P ship and bringing it to Ethereum and pairing it with SHIB. It gives purpose to SHIB. It gives a new purpose for liquidity for SHIB. And then once they get it to the other side, it is the asset that's the most valuable. And they're not relying on the wrapped version of that asset in order for it to be valuable. So for me, it sounds better. And it's just better to sell it.
I got a side question here. What is it and what value do people perceive to be of large size, to be, shark or whale positions of value? Now, the question is, who of the people listening actually have balances their I class as, high net worths compared to who is actually listening? Because this is what actually dictates what happens inside the markets. So please, bit of a long one, but yeah, please answer.
Bro, people won't want to tell you how much money they've got. A standard crypto.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking what is perceived as like a decent amount of value for an account to have certain economic energy, position, persuasion to create market. Not what your position is, just generally, what is your perception?
Well, there's volume and then there's market sentiment.
If you're talking about from an actual network participant having an effect, it's a lot more money than I think most people think. Even if you have $500K to $1 million, you might be able to make an effect as in a singular event. So right now, if I was holding, $1 million USD worth of HEX and I hit the red button, okay, it's a very noticeable event, but that's it. Whatever effect that has on the candle that time, that's full tilt. That was all the impact they had. So for actually monitoring and tracking wallets, it's actually a pretty substantial amount of wealth that it would take to actually have any sort of pronounced effect moving forward. So, I mean, again, even if you have, $1 million in dry powder or $1 million in whatever coin to, depending on the direction you want to move the chart, that's one effect, right? It's just one incident. It takes it, it's probably, you're probably looking at 8 figures to actually have any sort of long-term effect on a chart or movement or sentiment other than just maybe one splash. So that threshold is pretty high, and it's a very small number of participants. For Pulsechain or Pulsex or those moving forward, that threshold I think lowers quite a bit, because if you assume even the most conservative, price appreciations, some of those holders will have, very, very pronounced bags. And I think that they'll be, because there's been so much time to look through these things and there's a clear set of addresses that you can kind of have a good starting point. I think they'll be very tracked. And so with those particular projects, I think that threshold is quite a bit lower. And I also think the sentiment will be more attached to them because people can quickly follow them.
Make a lot of sense.
Good question.